Welcome to WoolTalks. And my name is Anne Kalliomäki. I'm a story designer from Finland, and I've been working in the field of story-driven design, storification here in Finland now over 15 years. And when I started my work as a story designer, I actually worked and found out quite a lot about also Mika Kylänen's work, and Mika is here today with me. Hello, Mika.
Hi, Anne. Great to be here and see you again after this is a thematic week for us since we met yesterday with my students in the field of hospitality management. And thanks again for the very inspirational storification workshop you hosted and help our students to get a hold on event production from the sense of story-based design and how to really appeal to people's emotions during events.
Yes,
it was really helpful.
Yes, it was really nice to work together with you and your students again. And we have been doing quite a lot of work together during these years, and as you have been working in a different polytechnics and universities in Finland, and we did in the beginning of this summer we did a Finnish talk to my YouTube channel, and now we are going to take this talk in English so that also our maybe international followers can see what we are doing here in Finland and what we have been doing here what comes to this story-driven design and experience design thinking.
And yeah, it's a good idea since it's very important to exchange ideas also on an international scale. And after all, when we think about experience design or experience economy, it's not originally a Finnish line of thinking. So we have contributed heavily on that discussion globally. But what was inspirational to us, it's nice to connect with the key people overseas.
Yeah, definitely. And maybe we start from the beginning, a bit of introduction. How did you end up working in the field of experience design, and what is your background in this team?
Yeah, I originally came across with the experience economy when working in early 2000 in Rovaniemi in Lapland Center of Expertise for the experience industry, and this was a government-driven program for regional development, regional innovation systems, and then since we were that productive, the system turned into more national, and I worked for this Lapland Center of Expertise for 4 years, and then changed to Academic University of Lapland, and now after being in southern Finland almost for 15 years now, I have had the opportunity to work in 3 universities of applied sciences in Rovaniemi, Lahti, and now 3 years in Tampere. And personally, this kind of professional identity falls down to regional and business development. And as a senior lecturer, I consider I can easily help companies, but also students to make make the working life better, help businesses to enhance their competitiveness. And for me, this experience economy has been very, very solid and important topic throughout my over 20-year career. And we came across in say 2000, maybe 2006, when you were preparing your book on storification, and it has been very, very inspirational, and it has been a pleasure to keep exchanging ideas. And now, since we live in the same place in Finland, so it's
welcome to Tampere.
Nice
to have you here in Tampere. And there is interesting things happening in Tampere. We now have also experience economy professor in our university.
I think Tampere is the place to be when it comes to experience economy development, and enhancement of meaningful experiences, how to help companies to shift from service business to experience business or even beyond. And this professor of practice at the University of Tampere just recently nominated Mika Kylänen is a very important part. I would say the one of the three building blocks in a triangle of experience economy development in the city area. The second important building block is the city itself with its development program targeted to experience economy. So experience economy, talking about events, entertainment, movies, movie and TV production, game industry, tourism and hospitality sector, sports events is a very solid part of Tampere development, and this experience economy development program is a very important part when developing Tampere and bringing experience economy among industries and clusters. And the third building block is indeed Tampere University of Applied Sciences with our new master's degree program in experience economy. I have the pleasure to start running that with a colleague of mine next year. So next autumn we will launch this program, and we want to turn it into a very multidisciplinary type of program where you can come and learn about experience economy development and become an experience economy professional, improve your skills in management, development, customer experience angle from different backgrounds. And we want students to learn together, and you can apply to this program next spring. And the first round will be in Finnish, but we'll see how the academic university will develop in the years to come. I think they will also launch a master's degree program of their own, perhaps in English, but we'll see how it goes. But cooperation so far has been very, very promising.
Yes. It's so good, interesting things happening here in Tampere, and I'm very happy to also to be here in Tampere, back with my fictional post Storysheep, and kind of moved back into the city that I studied back in the 90s when I started studying this film and TV, and actually worked in Helsinki in TV and film. So that is my background, where I have started to create this story-driven design, storification method. So it's very much based on my background on TV and film. But how is our work connected when we go back into those years? I started my company Storysheep, Tarinakone Storysheep, back in 2008. And actually, as I said, a lot of your work, what you did in Rovaniemi and there with your colleagues, it affected me so that I kind of started. I got this. Kind of found this passion for experience economy and taking all that I had learned in the TV and film and script writing and dramatic storytelling art, and how to take it into the field of business and help businesses start designing customer experiences from the story point of view and turning customer experiences into story experience. Maybe we should start from the experience economy, the book, and Joe Pine's work, because that is something that is kind of also connecting us together, because of course my work is very much based on Joe Pine's and James Gilmore's work on experience economy and all of their ideas, how to stage the experience, and I have kind of only taken it in a way, just brought in, I think, this kind of maybe a stronger idea of what the story means, and script writing can be added there. So, but you actually worked together with Joe Pine as well back in Rovaniemi, and you also did this method called Experience Triangle, which is very much based on Joe's work as well.
Yeah, we with my colleague back in the Lapland Center of Expertise, we found out and realized that companies find it hard to turn from business as usual to business as unusual, and although if you think about tourism companies or events or almost any kind of service business where you deal with customers and it seemed to be very hard already back in the early 2000s to turn your focus from your own production orientation to customer orientation in the sense of competing with customer experience, and not just the customer experience as a functional value or action per se. In particular, in the way that you as a service provider, you put more effort and emphasis on people's emotions and even the meaningful experiences. So in terms of value creation, you turn your focus or shift your focus from functional and economic value to emotional, social, even identity value, and it was really important and very inspirational starting point for me and Sanna Tarsanen to familiarize ourselves with Joe Pine and James Gilmore's work on experience economy. Of course, already before that in Europe, Erlebnis Gesellschaft by Gerhard Schulze had been published with a bit more sociologically or critically oriented approach to hedonist consumer culture. And even before that, 1970s, Alvin Toffler, as a futurologist, paid attention to and drew attention to this new era of economic offerings and society's dynamos towards pre-programmed experiences that formed one of the interesting pillars for post-service economy. So there's a history, of course, to that, but it's amazing that we always need a couple of US-based strategic management experts to point out what's going on in the world and how to, in a way, crystallize the logic of new business logics and how to really focus on the degree of processing value and how to turn it to create more value and meet the competition. And I think the connecting point with Storification and experience pyramid model we developed then, having its 20th anniversary now, was the story itself. So in a way, the plot line, the theme, the main reason why me as a customer should go there like this with these people right now and really experience this stuff specifically here. So I think nowadays we are better informed about the logic of customers' decision-making processes, but already 20 years ago we realized that we shouldn't start from the what. But it was 2009 when Simon Sinek published his book on Start with Why. So too rarely are service providers asked the question of why. Why in the world I should be there? Why in the world that specific target could be even interested about us as a service provider or our event or anything like that. And I think it's, as I said in the beginning, that maybe experience economy is doing better than ever. Because if we think about our own consumption of time and our everyday lives, if personally working as a senior lecturer, I compete on our students' time and attention, depending on the program, also money. But this is global, and what Netflix and TikTok have done to our way of consumption, way of behavior, you cannot escape this fact in any field. And so globally, we compete on people's attention, time, and money. And this point Pine and Gilmore made already in 1998. It's even stronger today and more evident. So that's why I think this is the time and place now to really focus on the development of meaningful experiences, helping customers to find a purpose and connect the products and services, events surrounding them to their identity. But one of the most inspirational scholars we found when doing this type of synthesis work in terms of literature, with Sanna in early 2000, we read quite very much, and we gathered and pulled different kind of source material, academic, practical, here and there. And one of the very inspirational fellows was John Dewey. And John Dewey says that in terms of experiences, it's important to focus on two processes. Process of doing, that you actively do, take part in some activities, be it an event or be it a learning session or tourism experience. So you do it actively, but also undergo it. So you go it through, and this is where a majority of the service providers fail and collapse. And in terms of story, they let the story to, in a way, stop too early, and maybe face the wall, and they leave the customer alone in terms of helping them to undergo, really understand, really go through what they have just experienced or experienced a bit earlier. So what we now can easily see in the discussion of service design or experience design, the customer experience is formed in three phases: pre-purchase, purchase, and post-purchase. So before, during, and after, for instance, an event. And we should manage the anticipation and expectation. And that's one point, that we should, in a way, as service providers, start earlier. Start earlier to help the customer to really get a grip on our purpose. And then secondly, to prolong it, to continue a bit longer in terms of helping the customer to realize and eventually build loyalty. So this is something that what you do as a story designer, and what Storification is all about is connecting with your customer, or not just on a functional procedure as a service, but as a meaning, on the level of meaning. And what Nathan Sedroff, very inspirational experience designer and meaning maker expert, has said, that meaning is the deepest connection you can make with your audience or customer or guest, as we talk about customers in the field of experience economy.
And I think now when you talk about this, what's the meaning of the story for the customer experience? And as you said, like continuing from service point to another, giving it a structure to this customer experience, but definitely giving it this meaning. Why are we doing what we are doing? So it's the why is in a way present there in every touch point with the customer. Why is this happening? Why are we doing this?
For instance, in the experience pyramid model, when based on the synthesis on the literature front, but also having discussions with dozens of companies and service providers here and there, and of course reading our Pine and Gilmore ourselves and so on, we came across eventually with 6 key elements, certain kind of criteria for an experiential service to exist. So what makes an experience? What makes a service experiential? So six elements, and of course story was one of them. The five others were individuality, so coming down to uniqueness, coming down to certain kind of degree of personalization, also your ability as a customer to have a say or even have a role as a co-creator, not just as a passive object of service providers' activities. Secondly, authenticity, very much connected to thematization, story, role of story, and evoking meaning. Authenticity, how we saw it, was pretty much about credibility. So it's pretty much up to the customer to decide if it's authentic or not. And then fourthly, to turn your experience more holistic, you need multiple senses. So it comes down to multisensory character of the service or the event what you are dealing with. And then what is very important in terms of empathy and customer understanding, in addition to individuality, is contrast. It tends to be so that the most meaningful experiences are the ones that you don't see every day. And how is your everyday life like? Maybe way different than your neighbors, although you live in the same surroundings. So it's important to pay attention to the contrast, and it's very individual and subjective. And then the sixth element was interaction, and it was also seen as a 360-degree type of interaction, where it's interaction between customers, interaction in terms of customer encounters with the customer service personnel, but also the interaction with the product. So accessibility, equality in terms of different kind of disabilities, how they are considered in the physical environment or digital environment nowadays. And then in the experience pyramid model, that was the other axis, and the other axis was considered so that it's important to focus and pay attention and even manage, if not script write, the customer's experience face by face. And what we know now, we didn't know then, was the logic of this kind of service design that is nicely connected with the pyramid. Of course, we didn't draw it from service design because that didn't exist with the strength it's now known. But of course, in the field of marketing, the customer's decision-making process and how customers' experience is formed was already known in the field of marketing. So there are three phases. So first, you have to raise awareness and become interested about the product or the service event. Decide to go. If it's a paid-for event, you don't just tend to fall in or drop down from the sky, but you have certain kind of decision-making process. How rational it is, we can of course discuss that. Maybe over 90% of our decisions as a customer tend to be emotional, and then of course you have to raise interest towards the customer, and then the physical actual experience is now on place and you are in the event. But then if we go back to is process of undergoing, we shouldn't leave it there and in a way let the customer leave before we say hi, for instance, or somehow make sure, has the process started also on an intellectual level? So that was the third phase. So what happens in a way after the actual doing? And then if everything goes fine, this situation may lead to a very strong, meaningful, emotional experience. And if it's strong enough, then this can lead to a personal change of a subject person. So this was the logic of experience pyramid model, and how I would recommend and encourage people to approach it is to look it as a building block or grid of 18 building blocks. So 6 elements in 3 phases of the customer experience. And that's it. As a service provider or experience designer, you can have an impact on 18 things. And but whether it helps the customer to realize and experience a meaningful experience on an emotional level, it's pretty much up to the customer oneself, and of course the community involved. And then whether this experience leads to a personal change, it's even more up to the customer. But personally, I believe in experience design as a set of abilities that we can really make a difference. We can have impact on people's experiences, although they are subjective by nature. And yeah, that's pretty much the big picture in the experience pyramid model. And as said, our paths cross in many ways in terms of storification, in terms of the importance of story, focusing on the why instead of just the what, and also how to turn your nice experience into a holistic and memorable one. I think that is where story design comes into picture very strongly. And I love the way how you have been able to operate as a certain kind of link person, liaison person between fields and interfaces. For us in the Lapland Center of Expertise, it was very important that we connect with different fields of expertise, be it technology, design, culture, tourism, for instance, and also your background in TV and media production and writing and script writing, how you realized that, hey, this expertise of mine could be applicable on a number of fronts. And it would be nice to know, how do you got the idea that, hey, could we really script write and in a way author also experiences? Not in the sense of, if we think about the James Bond movie, the author of all your pain, but author of all your positive gains in a way. So how did you come up with the idea that, hey, maybe I could put myself in another context with my expertise?
Yeah, that's a good question. And thinking back, because when I left Helsinki and I went to study in University of Jyväskylä, there was this creative writing MA. And then I started my company back in 2008. But before that, I attended I was studying tourism, this like a basic how do you say, basic degree on tourism and events. And that's how I ended up finding out about your work in Lapland and reading about experience economy, and also Rolf Jensen's Dream Society, transforming from information to imagination, and this kind of story society, dream society idea, and really important work. And I think I read those books and your work, what you had already been doing there in Rovaniemi, and I think there it happened that I kind of understood that yes, it felt very familiar, of course, because there is a lot of this kind of analogy to dramatic storytelling and filmmaking and all of that in the work of Joe Pine's experience economy, all of this idea of staging the experience and creating the environment, the service environment, the stage into a story and the storyline there. But I also saw, of course, because I come from the very of course, from the background of filmmaking and TV and script writing. So I saw that there is kind of a bit maybe a missing this kind of depth in the dramatic arc and script writing. And so that's how I got Yeah, I got really like had this kind of, I don't know, say light bulb moment. Oh my God, what does this mean? How can you? And I started reading actually. I started reading all my script writing books from this new perspective. What could this mean in the from the understanding of like this business and service creating services into a engaging story and as a story experience, as I now call it. And what comes to storification, actually, it was not used. You said, I think we started working together, not 2007, I think it was 2009 maybe, when I contacted you, because I started my company 2008, and you had already done this experience pyramid in 2009 together with Sanna Tarsanen there in Rovaniemi, and I started actually the term storification was not used in the field of business or at all. It was when you Google it, there was not. And that's why I kind of figured out that, okay, I'm going to start using this word storification as referring to this kind of creating story experiences. So something that is not originally story can be transformed into this engaging story experience, this which we now call quite a lot of like immersive storytelling, that customers can be part of the story, experience the storyline, and as you said, also be like in a role in a story in a way. And so that's how I started using that word, and I started using it also in English, storification. Now there seems to be a bit, I think, internationally and also in Finland, there are some people using the word storification in a way that it's more like a synonym to storytelling. I'm not so happy about it because, of course, I've been doing 15 years of work to that we could use that storification, referring to more to this method that is more close to gamification, so that we can use storification or gamification, and it's about this making this story that can be is like this engaging story experience, that it's not about storytelling where the customer is passive and kind of taking in the story, but it is about this experience where customer is joining the story and being part of it. And I'm very happy actually about this work in Tampere University. There is this Isabella Aura who just did the work on how to use storification in education.
And learning.
Learning, yes, definitely. And so Isabella is using the storification term in a way that I feel as well that it should be used. So I was very happy about that, and that actually happened so that we even didn't discuss with Isabella beforehand. So she had come to this idea in a way without discussing it with me. So we just connected afterwards. So I was very happy about that. And I think that's something we should. And I think it would be really interesting to see how people are using the word storification internationally. I've been trying to find out about it, and sometimes I see that it's used quite a lot when you Google it. It's more used in this in a learning, maybe in learning and education and so on. And of course, it is. I think for me, it's important that I see that when we are using storytelling in different ways, we should have these different, maybe kind of find out these words that we can describe the way we are using story in a different way. But as said, I think nowadays we are quite a lot using the immersive storytelling. And of course, when I started, there was this transmedia storytelling as well. And then there has been this thing called story doing, which is kind of doing interesting stuff so that we customers start to talk about us, and so there's a lot going on in the field of storytelling. And I think that it's important to see that, and it's a good thing, because I think that storytelling is a really, really important tool. And I think maybe we are entering into an era where it is even more important now that we have this digitalization and AI happening in our world. So we need this audiovisual storytelling, filmmaking methods, and creating characters and service environments and services into a story even more. So I think it's very interesting to see where this is going.
I also like the metaphor of a theater in Pine and Gilmore's work, but also in your work, how you carefully walk these entrepreneurs through to think about their touch point, not just as service elements, but story elements, and in a way, different moments on the dramatic structure of my story experience. And if you think about visiting a cottage or staying overnight in a bed and breakfast type of facility, before, during, and after, it's a dramatic structure at best. But now it's only managed as a service with the value for money and this kind of logic of exchange money for having the opportunity to stay. And then you measure this customers' behavior in terms of overnights, not as a customer experience. Quality of sleep, people's routines before going to bed, people's routines getting up in the morning, people's preferences for breakfast. No, it's just the overnight, not how they were moved or touched on a mental level or emotionally at least. And then so it's a question of showing, not telling, waking the customer up in the middle of the night. Hey, did you realize yesterday? No, it's not about telling, it's about showing and letting the customer realize by experiencing. And that is where we need this careful involvement of the story and the identity of the place, the purpose, the meaning of the place to each touch points, instead of just communicating or telling the story on the website or in the social media. So it's a question of storification, and I love the analogy to gamification. So use of logic of games beyond games, beyond gaming. So use of logic of storytelling beyond traditional storytelling.
Yeah,
so
and definitely using the dramatic storytelling.
Exactly. This kind of expertise of script writing and media and TV production, because we all have experienced a very immersive, engaging movie. When we walk out the movie theater, we think that, okay, it can be a life-changing experience. But how movie theater providers, how the box office is trying to help us realize that? No, they try to get rid of us as soon as possible to fill in the theater again with the new customers and get the place cleaned. So we are quickly thrown away instead of helping us to undergo, helping us to realize, helping us to build loyalty, helping us to co-create meaning to others, and even take the story further in that sense.
Yeah, think about that. Sorry that I need to stop there, because think about that. I was watching a film, and we had there's this possibility that you can have a glass of wine with you in the film theater. All of that happening, of course, that they are making this. It's more to this experience, and But think about if you could like I don't know, get some kind of feel part of the film, what you are watching, and maybe get dressed up into those costumes that they're having in the
Why not?
film. It's kind of this also in the film make industry. This is kind of this storification and story-driven design is kind of opening up this idea that there is this service experience, story experience also outside that film.
Yeah.
And so you can make
all
it,
the merchandise and
all
this
of that.
kind of how to really extend the experience.
Yeah, I think in maybe in our world nowadays that it's more and more important with all of this also responsibility and sustainability.
Why not? Yeah.
This transformative thinking is more and more there in the heart of the doing. And I think if we come to what kind of tools I'm using in the storification method, there is this story tree method that I use for companies to find out those story elements. And in the core of the story tree diamonds, there is always this question of why, and also the question of change. How is customers' life changing? It can be smaller change or bigger change. What kind of what he or might learn or understand about him or herself, or something that changes. And actually, because I've been doing quite a lot of work also with other companies, not only tourism companies, so that change is very important with the companies that are working in other field, because as business owners, we are always in the business of changing the customer's life somehow.
I agree.
There is idea that we want to somehow change customers' life with our services, even with our products, whatever it is. So that's why also in the roots of the story tree, that change has been very important. And for me as a story designer, because I think that why this change is so well connected with the story, because in a story we always have this change is in the core of the story. Something needs to change that we have a story, we have an interesting story. And so that's why I think that there is such an, how to say, amazing link between story and providing change for our customers.
This transformation.
This
And I think this is
very much, we can really help with that story.
And also one thing that came into my mind when you were thinking about this how to in a way make a distinction between storytelling as in the form of communication, and then storification in the form of designing experiences. And it's interesting, and internationally it would be nice to connect with this interview also with this brand developers. So also in the discussion around branding, one of very important books for me was also came from Danish researchers Klaus Fogg and his fellows about branding, storytelling in practice. And they a very central idea in the book was this Aristotelian dramatic structure, where you have a story and this kind of a three-step plot line with different kind of characters involved, and you need the conflict, and they wanted and they encouraged brand designers to really, and brand developers to use this logic of storytelling in branding and creating brand experiences. And but also I think it would be very interesting to get in talks with international colleagues who work around phenomenalization. So we are now living in the world of phenomena. So I believe in this fact that we can really phenomenalize events, services, companies. So we can create phenomena. phenomena, and then there's a certain logic. Of course, it's hard to tell, for instance, in social media, which things go viral and which don't. But I know many examples from the field of music business, for instance, concerts, events. If you think about the Burning Man event, a festival, if you think about Finnish Eurovision Song Contestant Kääriä, it was a made phenomenon. So there was a machinery behind. There was designing taking place. There was storification and gamification taking place in this. There has been in these cases, and also why phenomena, these transformative experiences and new communities, new tribes are important is because of the collapse of the brands, but also collapse of the institutions. The traditional common building blocks of societies and people's everyday life have collapsed, and so we need new type of relatedness, and we need new communities. And this is something that Rolf Jensen and Mika Aaltonen in their book on Renaissance society were addressing, that we have shifted to me-we type of society where anyone can do anything, and we can build new type of communities quite easily, easier than before. But of course, the competition is harder than before. And what I very much consider important in your idea of storification, that you need these techniques of humanization. You need this techniques of relatedness. And you need also experientialization. So you need to turn your company facilities and service moments into this kind of stages, and you also need to signify, help the customer get the grip and realize. So these techniques of humanization, relatedness, and signification, that's very important when you try to find your way and place in the markets where we globally compete on people's attention and time and money, of course. And if I may continue about the AI and digitalization that you mentioned, that this should be done in a more omni-channel way than ever, because it's possible, because we can. But of course, in the world of AI, I believe in this fact that if we use AI and if we use digitalization more, we save time. And save time as service providers to put more effort on a personal, in personal encounters to create this time well spent type of experiences, but also to really help the customer realize that, hey, this was in fact time well invested. I invested my time and attention to get even a better version of myself, to work on my identity with this event or services or with these people in this place, traveling here, staying home or something like that, whatever we decide to do. But I think service providers have too long tried to create loyalty among customers towards them and their services. But we should turn this mental model another way around. So upside down, we should start as service providers, be it a teacher, be it a consultant, be it an event producer, be it a tourism company entrepreneur. We should start building loyalty towards our customers, not ask them to be loyal to us, but be loyal to their everyday life. And this is where empathy and customer understanding comes into very, very core of all this. And if we want to design and enable meaningful experiences that are even transformative, we really have to start not only from ourselves, as teachers or entrepreneurs, but from the audience effect and the impact we want to evoke, not just among customers, but also we have to decide what business we want to be in, what kind of world we want to be making. And you mentioned this sustainability. I think this has for long been one of the missing parts in shifting in a way industries from service business to experience economy or even to transformation economy, because sustainability, saving the world, making the world a better place in terms of social responsibility, equality, and accessibility. It's a very strong story. It's a very important and very compelling purpose. And nowadays, it's easy to see that you can try to cheat some people for some time. You cannot cheat all the people all the time.
Yes, and what comes to sustainability and communications on that, so we really need to move on to creating sustainability also this part of this customer experience, and so that it's not only telling as you said, show don't tell, and like take people into this story and help them be part of also your sustainability story in a way and do their own part on that. So it should not only be about communications, it's more about this creating these experiences that where sustainability is part of the customer experience and part of the story they are experiencing with you. And then when we have found out the story elements, we create this core story, which is the core story for the company. It is not the company story, it's more this core story, which is kind of the design story. It is the story that helps us to design everything we do into a story, the service environment, service processes, our marketing communications, everything into a story. And it's more linked into this script writing process, as a script is kind of helping us to create a story product called film. So that way we are using the story tree to find out the story elements, and then we are creating the core story, which is one part of the storification process. And then we can create the story identity, which is one of the methods I am also using inside this storification method that I have created, so that we can create this story identity manual, how the story becomes alive in the company's business, and how we are making it alive for our customers or clients. If you are in the business-to-business companies, it is also something that we can use there. And then we have this story path. I use these story stages. You can have digital story stage or physical story stage, and you can create these service environments into a story for your customers. And then you can use this, like turn your customer journeys into story paths, story journeys. And you have been using these methods, my methods, with your students during these years. You've been doing this story tree method quite a lot. I know I've been doing some workshops together with students, but also outside. So you have also seen how it works in practice.
I consider this starting from the guide, the storification guide that you offer on your website to be download free of charge. That's of course a great asset. 12-page, easy to approach type of step-by-step technique that you can use in, for instance, we have used in student projects, and then the story tree is like you put it. It's the starting point, and it in a way says it all. So you start from the roots, of course, the why, identifying your target group, and also thinking about, and I think this is one of the most important things, what is the emotion or what is the experience in mind. And it's
And
really important.
That is something we need to send our best wishes to Rolf Jensen, because Rolf Jensen is saying in her book Dream Society that you should always start from the feeling and emotions first.
So it's also how we design learning experiences nowadays. Start with the end in mind, and we saw it yesterday with my hospitality management students who were creating this. With your help, they were creating these core stories. In a way, like you said, these core stories. It's not the value proposition for the customer, but it's certain kind of the plan for orchestration or choreography. To in a way make it happen, make the magic happen, and it was really delightful to see how students, some of them again, really found their creative mind and this kind of story designer's mindset, and they were diving deeper to this storyfication instead of just telling about the step-by-step procedure how this event goes. So we heard some nice core stories yesterday, and some stories that are quite traditional, but still it was nice to see how again the story tree canvas helped them to get a hold on this shift.
Yes, and definitely, and yes, and yesterday we worked with the service story tree. I have this like two different story trees. Maybe there will be more in the future as well, but nowadays there is this story tree that I use with core stories, and then yesterday we were using the story tree, which is a bit different, which we use when we are doing this service story. In a way, we already have the company's core story. And then we can start creating these services into a story, so we can use this service story tree to find out the right story for this certain service that we want to design into a story experience. So there is a good, and also we can see that there is this mind shift. I see the same thing that was happening with students yesterday. It's happening all the time with business owners in my workshops, that there is quite a lot to do to step into this creative thinking and see that it's really see how you can start finding out the real story elements and really design something into a story. So it's there is we are quite careful in our doing, and in a way it's very easy to kind of stay in the
comfort zone.
In a comfort zone. I think you referred into this misunderstanding, that there is quite a lot of this misunderstanding when we start talking about the story in the business. We always think about this, that this is my story, this is our company's story. And now what comes to storification, it's not about your company's story, it's not about your story, it's about the story your company is providing for your customers. So what story
definitely
you use? What is the story you can design? You can use to design your what you are providing for your customers.
And what is the story? So then I would encourage entrepreneurs, business owners to draw from Rolf Jensen's emotional markets. So since he divided all businesses and industries to 8 emotional markets, very inspirational has been for me for this entire 20 years. The emotional markets are certain kind of universal stories that companies should decide which stories we want to connect. So definitely it's not our story. It's not even our customer story, but it's the story that travels from culture to another. So this kind of stories that in a way have been there for connect with humanity. So if we think about children's books or movies, it's all about battle of good and bad, where good eventually wins and beats bad. Or or well-being, or getting back to one's roots, or this kind of survival, or certain kind of self-transcendence, or heroism. So it's easy to connect as a service provider to these ever-existing stories that every culture knows about and tells these same stories, but in their own way, from their own viewpoint. Instead of trying to come up with a new story, you can easily connect, hey, welcome to this hotel. This is a battle of good and bad. And depending on your personality, you can choose a floor based on this story. Or if it's this bed and breakfast place, maybe you can connect with the story of friendship, or story of heroism, or story of getting back to one's roots, or nostalgia. I want to stay in a room that reminds me of my grandma, how she lived, what kind of decoration she had. So I can pick a story. And currently, I think companies are not using this. They try to maybe develop these local, very peculiar, very inside stories instead of connecting with these stories everyone knows already.
Yeah, bigger stories. And then, yeah, I think and in my work, when we are doing those core stories, there's like a very important part is that you are deciding what is the theme for your story. Kind of
Theme, yeah.
a big theme that is linked into what you are, offering to your customers, and what is of course, the change and the style of the story is kind of also linked into this, like bigger decisions that you need to make. And then also, of course, these roles, Jens says, these really great emotional markets things, that these bigger stories, that what is this kind of bigger ideology, meaning behind what you are doing. It is something that really is really important when you are talking about the story. But I think there is and of course, maybe going back what I said about that the company's, your own story, your company's story is not part of the story that you are giving your customer. Of course, that's not. Sometimes there are some part of the maybe company story, maybe the entrepreneur herself, her story can be some elements from those stories can be part of the core story that we are using to create this story experience for customers, but it's not same as the company's story. And of course, core stories are not even, they don't need to be published as a text. They are more like this script that is what we follow when we are taking this story into action.
So it's definitely the core question is, two questions. One is that what business do you want to be in? And secondly, why are you doing what you're doing? So then with those questions in front of the mirror and with your fellow mentors and colleagues, I think it's very vital to come up with answers to those, and of course with the help of you in terms of story-based design. And of course, I encourage company representatives all over the world to get in touch and get in talks with your local universities to really give resources to this development, because of course if you're able to identify or invite a new mental model, you need resources to make the magic happen and to really change the way you do things around here. And then I would very much look into students as future talents, of course, to help you in the field of experience design and then this making meaning.
Yeah, and the younger students are very much tapped into this kind of new digital age and all of using that as a tool also. So, and thinking back in the years that I started creating the method of storification, and also for me, how important I see the work that I have been doing, for example, with you and with students. And so I think that there is this, that the universities and working with students is kind of this platform where you can create and do experiment things and see how to develop things further. So I think that in Finland, I have done a lot of work with different universities and Polytechnic of Applied Sciences. So there's been a lot of different co-working, and that is really important to how we can find out new things to do. And what are you most passionate about the future? What is your kind of yeah?
Well, yeah. I think well, one important thing I would say, certain kind of fuel for fire in this experience economy thinking to, well, it's quite funny to say, to really take off, because we have seen that for 20 years now we have witnessed the evident and inevitable shift towards the world of meaningful experiences. But still, I think that companies and societies, governments are too focused on this kind of industrial exports, and service economy makes roughly 85% of Western societies, and I have been quite frustrated at times. I bet Joe Pine has been frustrated. But
I think we all have.
yeah, because of
Enough.
these changes tend to take a lot of time. But of course, what we need more is the multidisciplinary discussion, and I'm really happy about our new master's degree program in experience economy, because it invites both masters of culture and arts, masters of hospitality managers, and masters of business administrations to come. So people with different business administration, media, hospitality management, event production backgrounds to come together and try to see how they could benefit from each other, find synergy in terms of the creation of immersive, engaging, meaningful experiences, creating new phenomena in the field of popular culture, sports, events, restaurants, tourism, so on, entertainment industry. And that's what motivates me currently. And also I have been quite into learning design recently, and I have found it very inspiring to connect experience economy and learning. And I talk about this experience economy in learning. So as teachers, we compete on students' time and attention. In Finland, not so much money, but time and attention. And still there's a situation that one funny example or incident with a colleague of mine. We were starting our course on Thursday morning, and some students went to bed because they have been queuing for student event tickets all night. So I'm expecting to see some queues behind our lecture hall when our party is starting. So we really have to, in a way, reinvent the wheel as teachers, as lecturers, in terms of learning design, because we also compete in the experience economy and in the world of learning experiences. And it's not enough anymore that we help students save time by coming to listen to us because we have done all the reading for them. But we really have to focus more on the actual experiential learning session to create a moment, this kind of experience of time well spent. Hey, it was fun. It was educating. We learned a lot. It took some time, but it paid off. But I think what Pine and Gilmore use as a very bright example in their seminal book, Experience Economy, about the time well invested in the education sector was this example of London Business School, whose dean said that they are not in the education business, they are in the transformation business. And this is something that really much inspires me as a learning designer, how to make my key substance, experience economy, also so that I practice as I preach as a teacher in a way. So that's one important thing. So the master's degree program, learning design, and also keep helping companies. I get very much. I'm very much driven by the fact that I can help others, be it students, but in particular companies. I'm too this kind of. I get frustrated. Of course, I believe that the world changes and the working life becomes better student at a time. But I don't have time for 1.5 years like in the master's degree program, or 3.5 years like in the bachelor program, to wait for that change to happen. I want to help companies more directly, even with these specialists like you, with research and development projects. So that is something that is I want to put my effort in, and but I think that we haven't. Well, it's hard to say because I've been in the field for over 20 years, so it's quite funny to say that we have seen the tip of the iceberg so far. But there is the shift will take place, and I hope that my new 40 master students, when they graduate, can make the world a better place in terms of experience economy and competitiveness in the field. And but there is work to be done, and I think also in the field of storification, if we conclude, I think it's very important way to approach, and very useful way to approach, because I think we need these techniques, and we need these different approaches, because some people get inspired with some techniques, some people are inspired by service design. Some people are inspired by Pine and Gilmore's approach, and some people come from the field of tourism, and so we need these certain kind of roundtable discussions that we invite different people with different background to really work on the fact that it's very hard to communicate this shift of mental model that we definitely need. So it's not the question of what techniques you use, but by using certain kind of techniques and approaches, doing it helps you undergo, it helps you realize. So we just have to go forward and keep moving, and then it's not that big of an issue that whose book or whose model you are using, but the shift is so inevitable that we really have to, in a way, pull resources in that sense too.
Yes, the work continues, and you said it well there, that it's not about these techniques and methods. In a way, the most important thing is that what we can create for our customers, and what we can create for our companies. Of course, what comes to this business side and driving in this new, in a way, this new era forward. So how can we success in a way?
Yeah, and I hope that this discussion has been time well spent to us, and of course time invested. For us, it has been therapeutic, and it has been very fertile. It has been very rewarding to talk with you about these matters. But hopefully, we have also been able to save some time for the audience, although they spend roughly 1 hour with us, listening to this or looking at this. But they have saved time in terms of how to get a good hold, as a certain kind of summary or overview of the current discussion around storification, making meaning, experience economy, or even transformation economy, and what is the history, and what kind of key books or authors one should get in touch with and connect and put on your table right next to your bed if you like reading in the evening. So what kind of because it's a sea of books if you go there and Google.
Yeah, there
So
is
we
so
have
much.
perhaps saved some time for people.
There is so much on the field, and of course, as said, it's I think what is also for me, it has been more about this, how to take this into practice, how to help companies, because storytelling and storification can be a very complex thing to do. So how can we make it so that it's practical and very easy to start doing it in everyday doing, and in that way, I think that's very maybe important in the end. I think I would like to say that really whatever business you are in, use your creative talents around. I think that's something that companies should do more. Use different creative people for your company, and because we really need this creativity more and more.
Yeah, and cooperation. So it's not if you think about innovation, it rarely starts from starts and ends in your garage in a way. So it's a question of being in the context with others. So that's how it always have gone. So people are a bit lazy. So how can I save time? How can I do this differently? How could I go beyond? How could I learn more efficiently? or how could I communicate who I am? And this is, in a way, we always need the others and certain kind of humane mirrors in a way.
Yeah, that is so true. And maybe there is this complex, we need to make it easy and deep in a way. It needs to be simple, but still deep for our customers to join and have this deep meaning in our doing. And Mika, thank you so much for your talk once again. We continue.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, really, thank you so much, and for all your work back in the years and what we have done together. And as said, we really want you to connect with us. Please send us LinkedIn messages, and so we can connect with each other and do more work together and discuss more also in an international level. I think there is things happening in Europe and outside that people maybe who are doing this kind of thing are coming more and more together, and I think that I will take some time and try to be more part of those networks in the future as well, and maybe we can do something together with Mika and other people here in Finland as well, maybe even welcome people here to Tampere to discuss about this experience and storytelling things and storification, of course.
Yeah, forums are needed.
Yes. Hey, have a nice weekend and we continue.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Anne.